Hi, welcome back to Quarantine Cooking, Cook Like a German. Today I would like to show you how to make actually a German sourdough bread in a Dutch oven. French Dutch oven, whatever you want to call it. This is a pretty big one. So this is for around 2 pounds of bread. You can use a smaller one if you have. This dough we prepare. In the moment what we're looking at is around 2 pounds of, actually 1000 grams, so 2 pounds of bread flour, around a third of a pound of whole wheat flour, and 50 gram, let me see, I always forget, but these things are very handy when you have a towel like this. 50 gram equals, here we go, 58, 2 ounces of organic rye flour. What is this stuff? You can use other flours. It gives a little different taste. So you put this all together. You leave a little bit water for the rest. You put it all together with your hands, and then you wait for an hour. That's where we are right now. So if you don't have sourdough yeast, a sourdough starter, we can have another video to explain how to make one, but you also can buy it. But you also can use regular dry yeast with a little warm water and a little sugar, and it doesn't give you the sour taste, but it still gives you a good bread. So we just added like 1 ounce of crushed sea salt, and this guy here is, I can't pronounce it, it's French, it's leaven. In German it's called Sauerteig. That's actually a yeast made out of a sour starter. It's pretty much water and flours, like different flours, together over 10 days, and then you take a little bit of the sourdough starter. This is actually helping you to rise your dough if you don't use commercial yeast. That also goes in there, and then it becomes messy. So the idea here is we will form a dough, and then we have 5 hours. In these 5 hours, we take the dough and every 30 minutes and we fold it over and massage it a little bit. Wait again 30 minutes. It's like a north, east, west, south kind of concept, just to get it elastic. And then we have to put it away for 16 hours in a refrigerator to let it cool before we go to the rising and proving of the dough. But we will get back to that. Let's first get messy. It's very good to have those scrapers, these baker scrapers for it, because I clean my hands with it because I get really, really messy. So there's no good way. It needs to be done by hand. If this is too wet, you can always add a little bit more flour. But let's first see what we can incorporate. Mine is most likely a little bit wet, so I can most likely get a little bit more flour in there. All right, my dough needed like a handful of flour. At this point you can use wheat flour, bread flour, or rye flour. Now we are scraping a little bit. It's your free workout. And now let's see that we incorporate everything. Might as well use all the flour we put in. Again, this is the ratio should be there, but if it's too wet, you use a little bit more flour. If it's too dry, use a tiny little bit more water. You can use 78, 75, 78 degree water. Ideally, if you use tap water, let it sit like for a day open, so the chlorine, what is in a lot of commercial tap water, disappears. Hi, welcome back. So yesterday we prepared the dough and I put it in the refrigerator for around 16 hours, actually overnight. And you put a bag, a Ziploc or like a plastic bag over, so the dough in this long time doesn't dry out. I have it in the proving basket, they call this here, but you can put it really in a bowl, doesn't really matter. But now the next step is this dough has to go into our French oven, a Dutch oven. Our oven is 500 degrees hot, and for around 40 minutes I have the cast iron Dutch oven in here, so it's really hot. So the next step is really be careful. But I brought down the temperature now to 450 because I will put the dough in there. How we do this is we use a little parchment paper. You can use a cutting board, a plate, whatever you want, and you put this on top, because now we have to do the reverse. This is around 2 pounds. Should be able to take that off. All right. Now, before before we put this into our Dutch oven, we want to do a couple things which are not necessary. I like to do, because I have those little stencils. And you don't see all of it because it will brown and it will open up a little bit. So, but nevertheless, it does only take a couple more seconds. So you use a little bit more flour and just go over the stencils. Take the stencils off. I got a couple leaves. Now, what is more important is you have to get a couple of like cut lines in your dough so it can actually open up. This is a tool what you can get on Amazon when you get a bread kit. In general, it's a razor blade, but you also can use a knife, a sharp knife. And what you want to do is you cut actually first 2 lines across, and then the box cut. It's a square. So you need a pretty sharp knife for that. Okay, now Dutch oven. In you go. Okay, all right, it's 450 degrees, the dough is in, we close the lid and let it sit around 20, and you need these, 20 to 25, 30 minutes, and then we bring it down to 425 degrees and do another maybe 15-20 minutes. So see you then. Hi guys, welcome back. Our sourdough is in our Dutch oven for 20 minutes at 450. It's time to open the lid and see what happens. Then we will bring down the temperature to 425 and give it another maybe 20 minutes. Let's first see. All right, someone is active. All right, so now we want to see that it gets browned, and by doing this is like opening up the lid to let it air out a little bit and reduce so we don't burn it to roughly like around 420. It depends on your oven. This stays in there for, I would give it another 20 minutes, but just keep an eye on it. See how brown, don't put egg wash or anything on it. Just monitor it and see how brown it is. When we take it out after around 20 more minutes, let it cool for 1 to 2 hours, and then it should be a nice German sourdough bread. All right, we are back. After 40 minutes of baking, starting out with a 500 degree pot, going down to 450 for 20 minutes with the lid on, and then another 20 minutes in 425-ish, 420 with the lid off. Let's see what we got. It's definitely all right. Here we go. I think. How do you know it's good? That's always good. Knock on wood. No, if you knock, you can feel if the crust is hard. And I think this guy is good to go. Okay, let's see. This guy is like very hot. Like we are talking about 400 and plus degrees. So do not touch. Get this close. Tricky part is how do we get this guy out? So actually an easy way to do so is a little rough, but now I think the dough still is hot. So what we want to do is get our bread. You can use anything like a cake dish like this. This parchment paper did a good job from protecting it, sticking on the pot and burning. But now we can't be tempted. This little sourdough needs like between 1.5 and 2 hours to cool before we actually can cut in it. But this is what you have, like a roughly 2-pound German sourdough bread. Hi guys, welcome back. Our sourdough bread has rested for quite a while. I would say like 3 hours at least. Okay, let's see how our little sourdough looks. Okay, so nice crust, sponginess. The smell is a little sour, like you expect from the sourdough. Little bit parchment paper left here, and it's like through, like not too wet, not too doughy. And when that's like a test what you do with actually any baked bread. You wanna hear this like hard bounce and not like spongy and like doughy, and it's most likely it's very well done.